It sometimes happens in a flash. It can blow in the form of fury unleashed by Mother Nature. Most of the time, it is unexplainable. It sinks to lows that test the endurance of the human spirit. And it is found in destruction which rises to heights that are unimaginable. Trauma knows no boundaries, not even age. Just ask people about kids hurt by Katrina.
Immediately after the storm, it was very apparent that the kids were traumatized.
Some of them stayed, and they actually witnessed the water coming in. They were in their attics, 6 hours, hanging on for dear life.
My 10-year-old, he literally cried. Tears came down his eyes.
Most of them didn't have the words to talk about how they felt, and they're not alone.
One of the things to be concerned about is younger children. And we used to think that it was much less likely that they would be affected by such events, but in fact our data indicates quite the contrary.
Claude Shemtab is a world-renowned professor of psychiatry and pediatrics who specializes in trauma in children. Among other things, he has looked at violence in Israel and terrorism in the United States. His work focuses on public health ways to treat children affected by terrorism and disaster. And he says community-built playgrounds are an important coping mechanism for children.
The creation of a safe place like that brings people together into a community, into a place that's safe, but it also does something extremely important after a disaster, and that is to restore a place where a routine can be reestablished.
The Injury-Free Coalition for Kids is a national, hospital-based, community-oriented organization with sites across the country. It has developed a community-built playground process that has been used by many of them.
I think it's very important for our injury-free sites to look out for the welfare and the psychological welfare of children living in our stressed communities, and particularly after a disaster, to make sure that the children who've been exposed to disaster and their families have a way to psychologically heal.
It is the children of an elementary school that stood in the shadows of the World Trade Center that helped to inspire these efforts. They didn't witness the devastating events of 9/11 firsthand, but they saw a lot.
We keep them in the class so they don't know what happened, but they know afterwards when we bring them home and look at TV.
They were suffering, and I have to say, it was something that I could only describe as a silent dread. They were walking around with this burden of what had just happened.
A brand new playground donated by Little Tykes, now used by their brothers, sisters, neighbors, and friends, was built by the community and the school for them, and to honor the firefighters and policemen who lost their lives trying to help others.
It gave hope to everybody that despite what had just happened, we could move forward and be joyful.
Several states away in Biloxi, Mississippi, and New Orleans, Louisiana, Injury-Free is working to bring that same kind of joy to families and communities hurt by a disaster of a different kind, the wrath of Mother Nature brought on by Katrina.
Seeing kids playing in all this debris made me feel like I had a responsibility to try to do something, to help.
The Allstate Foundation made it possible. Several playgrounds were to be built along the Gulf Coast, one in a school that held 6 feet of water during the storm. Here, Injury-Free would work side by side with people who live in the neighborhood and volunteers from around the country. It was all about one thing.
They need a safe place to play after the hurricane. It's really nothing left.
With upwards of 150 volunteers, it wasn't long before the playground took shape.
It's a really good job everybody's doing, to really make the kids happy about coming back to this school.
It's also a matter of building a sense of community.
We've never had anything this nice, ever.
One volunteer gave her sons a sneak preview.
I went and picked them up, and before they even got to the driveway, they were like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm like, you cannot go on it.
Other people knew exactly where they were coming from.
Never imagined we'd be as happy as we are today.
People have touched our hearts in ways that we can never even. Thank you is just not enough. It just doesn't say what you feel inside.
They couldn't help but imagine about the days to come.
Cannot wait to come Monday. We did make arrangements for all the kids to be here.
And then it came. Every student had their permission slip signed, and they were ready to celebrate.
We're here today on this beautiful day to give thanks.
After sitting quietly through the formalities and gathering for a quick snapshot and that word of thanks. It was on. They had an opportunity to evaluate the new equipment, and they shared their conclusions.
I think this will be a good school for me to play on.
They were definitely floored by the playground.
We were very lucky to have it. You gotta like our playground, because we don't get this every day.
Their excitement couldn't beat that of the school nurse.
This is so safe. Did you see me jumping up on it? I was jumping up on it. I was out there jumping up. So yes. We got a state-of-the-art playground.
The feelings expressed were an echo of what was shared at a playground built across town in the public park of a neighborhood called Pops Ferry. The mayor was on hand for that dedication.
Every day something happens like this, or a store open, a business open, a restaurant open. So, you know, it goes every day, it's a little better.
The kids seem to think the playground made it as good as it gets.
I love this park. I think it's awesome. I like this park more because you know how the other parks didn't have the handicap swings? But this one does. So I think that's more easy for the people who are handicapped to swing.
It didn't take long for them to use it. It was pretty much a consensus.
We love our playground!
When the day was done, people who built the playground talked about why they came. It was mainly about sharing experiences from home.
Our playground build there has really brought the community back and given them a sense of hope, a sense of empowerment, and a sense of the future. And we felt strongly that we could give the same message in this community.
Living in North Carolina, you know what hurricanes come through and do. You know what the water damage does. And so any way you can come back and give back to the community and help is a great thing to do.
A handwritten note made it seem worthwhile.
The note just basically said, "Thank you for building the playground. My sister and my brother love it." And it said, "God bless you" on it. And it had a picture of the playground. And it really brought tears to my eyes because that's what it's about.
The focus is now up the Gulf Coast in New Orleans. The challenge is big.
As Hurricane Katrina came in and damaged 80% of the city of New Orleans, the Recreations Department and its playgrounds and parks took on almost 100% worth of damages.
The Garden District is the home of the first of 5 new playgrounds.
It has meant the difference literally between, night and day. It has enhanced our community in invaluable ways.
With the help of 2 new partners, the Allstate Foundation and Injury Free are building 4 more playgrounds.
It's more than just bringing in equipment to a community. It's bringing the community together. It's understanding the needs of the community. It's working with the community.
It is a buffer during the stress of hard economic times. It is the framework from which solutions for disasters are built. It is an escape in times of terror and violence. It is the source of joy and hope, the foundation for learning. It's a gift where the benefits are endless and the boundaries are as limitless as we make them.
To learn more about the Coalition and to help make a difference, go to www.injuryfree.org.